labs really took care to put these small kind of hoods or fans right above their main reactions in order to port out the gases. And you'd have the cook, and then the 1 or 2 people who were helping him make sure that this was done. So Airbnbs and short-term rentals are incredibly easy places to set this stuff up, because really all you need is a day or 2 of setup, manufacturing, and breakdown, and you can leave. You wouldn't really leave much of a mark as long as somebody had enough time to air out the space and the smell wasn't there anymore. The other thing that is incredible about using things like Airbnbs is you get to move from place to place, which is then really hard to detect, because even if a neighbor does notice that there's a pipe out of a window or something like that, if it's only there for a day or 2 and then it leaves, nobody would know. All the labs that I saw were locally here in Los Angeles for a very long time. But when drug busts started happening in earnest in the late 90s and early 2000s of drug labs everywhere in Southern California, people started moving them out.
Up over there, but leave your request. Write in and tell me
Somebody give her some real hard recipe to do. Please give a request. Can you please make me this thing? Cordon bleu or something? And then let's watch that shit. That would be awesome.
Want to see how to make your flowers last longer? I can actually do an entire video on that. And I can actually do an entire video on how we invested our money so we have retirement as entrepreneurs.
Yes, I want to see that too.
And I can do videos.
Except remember, she did a video, she said she's not paying her kids, so what is she saying?
On how to start a YouTube channel or Q&As again, all kinds of things.
You can't do Q&As on your channel? She's lying. Q&As on
familiar with particular songs that anchor us to particular times in our history or people in our history. And there's an age-old question really as to whether or not listening to sad music can help us process our feelings of sadness, or whether or not they drive us further down the spiral of sadness and despair. And indeed, studies have explored this as well. So today I will explain how music, indeed how different types of music, activate different neural circuits in your brain to create different brain and bodily states, how we can leverage music toward things like emotional processing, shifting our emotions, as well as to enhance learning and memory. And we will also talk about the use of music to enhance brain plasticity. That is, your brain's ability to change in response to experience, not just in response to that music, but rather using music as a tool to expand our capacity for neuroplasticity, giving us the ability to learn far more in other contexts and areas of life. I confess that in researching this episode, I found
This is an obvious case of suicide, going on the Joe Rogan podcast and effectively asking for some level of trust that I don't give to any government official. FBI Director Kash Patel said, if I had this information, don't you think I would release it? No, I don't, because actually your actions now just in the last couple of days only vindicate the idea that this is not only a systematic government cover-up at the highest levels, not only involving sex trafficking, but going all the way up to the top levels of the U.S. intelligence, the Israeli intelligence community, implicating powerful people, billionaires here in the United States, former prime ministers of Israel, our current president, former presidents of the United States, and for them to come out on the very day, or I guess the day before, that the Israeli prime minister is visiting Washington
for the third time
this year. Why exactly? Can we go over that? Last time I checked, this is a country we do about $52 billion in bilateral trade with, equivocal to like Singapore and Chile. I don't remember the last time the Chilean
Morgan, what do you recommend we do every time we get a paycheck or get paid?
I view savings as an expense, just as I would view rent or food or whatnot. Anytime in finance that you can automate it. So automating your bank and say every paycheck you're going to move $50 to savings, whatever it might be, and making it automatic. What are the odds that at least one of these happens to you over the course of your life? Job loss, divorce, medical illness, wayward children, living through a giant recession, whatever it might be. What are the odds that at least one of those will happen to you? And the answer is 100%. And I think a lot of people don't want to admit that. And when that happens, the savings that you have is going to be more valuable than anything that you've ever had.
And for the person who's still thinking, what's the point? I can barely pay my bills. What do you want them to know?
The first thing I want you to know is I feel you. I empathize with you. I don't judge you. But the second thing you should know is that it is.
Hey, it's your friend Mel, and welcome to the Mel Robbins Podcast.